attenzione, non vi interrogo, voi non farete domande a me che non so rispondere. Ho studiato solo quello che c'è sul slide.
No, mi piace. Faccio qualcuno.
Can I also ask, I need to go this time 1 hour early because I have Italian courses, so it's no problem. I was here until 6:15.
I should be done by 6. After that, feel free to me. So, no worries. Spero che si veda più in avanti, lo fate nero su bianco. Sì, grazie. Ok, cioè, tornare le slide con me.
Poi vi spiego questo, magari non per portare.
No, perché sta proprio...
Sentivo minacciato.
Effettivamente capito bene, aspetta che dia diciamo un po' di slack. Allora intanto facciamo una survey, quindi voi ho sentito bocconi tutti e due, studiate?
Economia e manovra.
Anno? Primo anno.
Io sono quinta liceo.
Perfetto, te sei avanti, te sei già fuori da Matrix, ci vedo un problema dietro. Parti prima Federica che c'è più confidenza.
Economia e management statale, terzo anno però.
Ok.
Economia e management terzo anno. Scade.
Facile.
Io faccio management dell'organizzazione del lavoro.
Che avevo il verbo lui? Se sei già. Which year?
Primo.
Ok.
Al secondo, scusami.
Ah, ok.
In secondo ho passato anche il pezzo e il bachelor o master.
Io scienze internazionali alla statale sono al primo anno.
Very good. This way.
Impressionato, sono oltre.
E al tempo ha fatto cosa ha fatto nella vita?
Allora, ingegnere informatico, ma ho fatto tutt'altro.
Ok, perfetto. Approvo. Giulia?
International politics or economics, first year.
Ingegneria energetica, primo anno.
Sei già fatto il pratico?
La gente che deve arrivare.
Quindi facciamo in inglese? Vabbè, dai, facciamo in English.
Sì, sì, in inglese.
In English va bene per tutti?
Because we need
Tu manda.
subscribers. So it's like a normal video and then we can
Sì, no,
I didn't know.
allora, io proverò a spostarmi di qua, non vedo il piano, vedete tutti, questo funziona. Sì. Ok, allora, ciao a tutti, welcome, good evening. Parto giusto? I'm free to go. Do they have to start the recording, anything like that?
Ciao, it already started, yeah.
Okay, very good. Ciao a tutti again. Allora, today it's going to be extremely direct. It's not a lecture, it's not any of that. And whenever I do stuff like this, I like to put up some house rules, which is just first I speak fast and think fast. If I start speaking too fast, raise your hand, let me know. If you don't understand anything, let me know, ask questions. If there's an acronym, MVP, I don't know, MVD, whatever, just ask the question. Also, I will try to include you in the presentation and I will ask you questions, so feel free to participate and don't be scared. It's gonna happen eventually. And again, this is not a lecture. If you're feeling sleepy, feel free to stand up, move around, whatever. Just easy, okay? It's a conversation. You might be asking also, who am I to speak about any of this? And so I will very briefly introduce myself. My name is Dino. It's actually not my name. We don't care about that. You just call me Dino, which is fine. And I'm an engineer from Politecnico. I graduated last year, in July. Management engineering, don't do it, but you're on different courses, so it's fine. And I'm also a Lean Six Sigma consultant, which should mean that I'm the one supposed to be able to speak about processes. We don't really care about that. The thing we care about is the fact that between 2023 and today, I funded 3 companies. The first one is Find Advisors. Find Advisors, where we did outbound marketing on LinkedIn for companies. So companies inside and outside of Italy. We started very small, and then within like the first year, we managed to partner with the Sole 24 Ore, which is a big newspaper here in Italy. We did training on what we were doing to their salespeople, which is very fun still to this day, teaching to people like triple my age how to do stuff. And we did, I don't know, 50, 60,000 euros of revenue within the first year. Then towards the end of last year, we also, as we were using AI inside the company and everybody was talking about AI, we said we're very stupid if we don't say it out loud. And so we also launched Automate Zen, which is use automation to bring the Zen back inside companies. So the purpose was to use AI to automate all of the stuff that is painful and boring and that people really don't want to do during their day-to-day. We did that. We started working. We talked to a lot of Italian companies. Everybody was extremely interested. Nobody wanted to pay, and so we went to the US and we closed like 3 clients in 1 month with very big contracts, and we were very happy about that. And so now Automate Zen is running its own course and mostly in the US. And then in June, something like that, I took a step back because I was becoming like in any of the things that we were doing, the one person that when something was not going right, I had to fix it. I would say I was like becoming the, I don't know how you say it in English, the fusibile in a circuit. It's the part that sacrifices itself when everything is going wrong, okay? And so I said, I don't want to do that anymore. And I signed a deal with my other 2 partners, and I said, I will bring opportunities, you just fulfill them and deliver, but if an email goes around, I'm not gonna answer. And it was working, I kept bringing stuff, but then they couldn't deliver, and so I said, bye-bye, and now I'm running Delphiros with another guy, and with Delphiros, we provide consulting to entrepreneurial families and like people at the very top of industries. Lorenzo, ciao. Tranquillo, siamo partiti adesso. It's very fun, very interesting people and different business. This just tells us that by now I kind of understand how to go from 0 to 1, which is what we're going to talk about today. And so the 3 very big steps that we're going to take today are, number 1, what launching a startup does not mean, which is, I see it, many times. Number 2, what it actually means. So if you were to launch your own thing today, this is the journey that you should expect. And then I have a very little live demo, meaning I'm going to tell you stuff that it's going to sound simple, even though it's not easy. But every single time you go to these kind of events, you go home and you say, okay, very cool. And then you open up your laptop and you have no idea what to do. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what you should expect and give you some stuff to do it and try at home. Quindi direi che partiamo. Number 1, what launching a startup does not mean. Primo, who here can give me a definition of the word startup, which is a good starting point? And you can try. There's no correct answer, even that there's no definition of startup, so you can throw in whatever you want. But
something that can be scaled very fast, like scale very fast and gain revenue very fast.
Yeah, that's one part of it. It's gonna be like different pieces. So that's one piece. Other pieces.
Disruptive.
disruptive,
Might be,
innovative.
okay. Anything else?
Conditions of excellence or patent.
Bravo, like that. Any other pieces? One more? Second, ok, però, good, bravi. Quindi, this is my definition. It's not Eric Rice, it's not Steve Blanks, there's a number of them. When I talk about startups, and the way I try to frame them is this. High growth potential business. If it's not high growth, it's a normal business. Operating in conditions of great uncertainty, again, if somebody else could come in and tell you exactly what you have to do and what to expect and what's gonna happen, it's a business, it's not a startup. A marketing agency, it's not a startup. A dentist, place, whatever, it's not a startup. Then with a scalable model, which is basically a condition for the high growth potential, and that is in the process of seeking, developing, and validating its business model. Some might argue that once you have validated your business model, you're basically a scale-up. And the difference is not in the amount of revenue that you do, but not in the amount of people, but in the fact that you're on the right course to, be able to scale in the market. We didn't talk about money, didn't talk about funding, we didn't mention investors. And second question is, how much money do you think it takes to launch a startup? Numbers. Guesses.
$1,000.
1,000. Who offers more?
Sometimes 0.
Sometimes 0. Other guesses?
It depends
On what?
on the idea, the market, I think, the product
Okay.
that we are launching, and
What could the components be?
so the product,
Okay?
the market,
The product, what? Go deeper.
a real product, a service,
Okay?
an idea, or an e-commerce, I don't know. A product would be much more expensive than a service. If you're selling yourself an idea, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Behind there?
To get it more physical, as in a product more physical
Yeah.
thing to sell, and
See?
needs has certain amount of money to do the funding, to the marketing, to the promotion itself. But as a service, you, as I said before, you're selling yourself, your ability and your skills to a certain person that needs it. So it doesn't really doesn't need as much funding.
Okay. Makes sense.
Io mi
Understand.
guido. Sì, continua.
Understandable, makes sense. And with the physical product, I do agree that it might take a bit more, but most often it's gonna be R&D part. Because sometimes you can launch without having the product. You might need one and then make money off of it and then deliver it later. Supreme. First they, put up the e-commerce, then they sell them, and then they produce them, for example. And this is something that I'm saying now, because eventually when we talk about minimum viable product and validation and all of that, it's something to keep in mind. Because us in Italy, more than in other parts of the world, we tend to say, I need to have the product, then I have to be able to, then I need the package, and then I need the advertising, and sometimes not.
As in selling the patent itself, like as in Shark Tank, they introduced their first products that ever made, made, and looking for investors to
Sometimes also,
So
yeah.
it's like similar, like
Either,
before getting
Sure.
the funding and the money itself, then showing the product.
it depends on what you wanna do. You might say, I built this, and then I'm looking for money to do more of these. For example, there is a documentary on Netflix about Juul, the e-cigarette. They spent, 4 years in research and development, and they came out with the prototype, and then they started selling those, but they produced very little of them, and then they got the money, and then did all the others. And then you have, for example, Supreme or other stuff that is made in, I don't remember the name of the process, where first I sell them, and then eventually I'll ship it to you. Ferrari does one car, shows it to you, you buy it, years later, maybe you'll see it, no pressure, okay? But it's the same thing. Again, startup definition, we didn't talk about the rise, we didn't talk about the number of people involved, we didn't talk about exits, all of that. the mindset, like the main things that I want to focus on today are, again, the high growth potential, validation, the fact that it's scalable, and great uncertainty, all of that. Very good. Now, examples of startups that made stuff that shouldn't be possible. MailChimp, probably the biggest software to handle massive like emails and all of that email marketing. They never raised a single dollar, and recently they sold to Input for 12 billions. And so, bootstrapping is an option. What does bootstrapping means?
Never raise money from investors.
Exactly. Bootstrapping is launching without raising money. Kali, which is another software that I use to very often actually to run surveys and forums. I recently met the co-founder. They're a team of 4 people that's doing 4 million in revenue. That's $1 million per person. It's the same as Google, roughly, basically. And said, no, we're thinking about adding a 5th one. My guy. It would be nice. But these are all possible scenarios, and there's other outliers and stuff that could be modeled after. Quindi, going to the next level, which is now that we agree on this stuff, we go to what does launching a startup actually mean? So, the journey. Every single time I try to speak to someone and they come to me with, I have an idea. Scary, always. Because idea is only the very first step, and often they don't have an idea, they have a product that is looking for a problem, and then they don't know how to get to the problem, and then the solution doesn't work. Okay. We'll take one step at a time. Idea. If I have an idea, I need a problem, and I need to validate that problem. Then with the problem, I need to look for a solution, and then I need to make the solution fit the problem enough that it solves the problem for the customers. And if I can do that consistently, then I might be I might be aiming for product market fit. But we go one step at a time, as I said. Idea. Everybody thinks they need the idea of the century. The new social network, the new Amazon, the new Airbnb. Often not, okay? One example that I always bring is Dropbox. We all know what Dropbox is. Houston? We've used it before. Thumbs up. See? Okay. Originally, when Dropbox launched, it was the problem that it was trying to solve was that people didn't have a place to store up-to-date files. There was no Google Drive, no OneDrive, not all of that, and people were I send the file that I was working on to myself to have it synced on other accounts where I have my email. Option 2, I use USB drives, but then I had to go around with the USB drive file. I forgot it. Then I go to somebody else's computer and I have to download it. So now maybe it's company data that it's outside the company. And so this guy just said, what if I rent a little piece of cloud and I give it to you, but you don't have to learn to program to do that, and you just upload your file there. Quindi I don't know, maybe the solution to that problem could be this one. And he didn't start writing code, he just recorded a 3-minute video that published on a website that was like it's like a website where people would publish the tools that they were building and all of that. And it got 75,000 people on a waiting list within like 48 hours. So 75,000 people that said, if that exists, I want to buy it. And so we probably have a validated problem, there's a lot of people that have it, and a solution that might be viable enough. And this is what we're aiming for. So taking a step back, and also, this is something that I really wanted to say, and Lorenzo, happy you're here also. If your startup idea is so fragile that if you say it out loud, someone can copy it, you don't have a startup idea. Lorenzo here, I met him because 2 startup studios that are 2 vehicles that build startups, consistently and repeatedly, put together their minds and still said, we have all of this information, but we don't know if we have a startup. Lorenzo, now it's your problem. And Lorenzo started doing interviews and talking to people and saying, this is what I want to build. Tell me all the reasons why it won't work, okay? I need to know that. And so if whatever you have in mind, you're scared to say it out loud, you're not going to be able to build a business out of it. And now we're going to talk about how do I, protect my idea. Because the way I usually get good ideas is, number one, talk to people. When I say ideas, I talk about problems to solve. Because anything that you can sell needs to solve a problem. So talk to people, look for problems is you pick an industry, finance, whatever, and you go on LinkedIn, and then you go to events, and then you go anywhere where you can find people that work in finance, and you start asking questions. Alessandro, during your day-to-day, what is the most painful task that you have to do, and when you see it on the task list, you feel like you want to kill yourself? And then I write that down. And then I go to the second person and ask the same question. Then I go to the third one, and maybe after 10, I have 1 or 2 that keep coming up. And so I go back to the first one, and I say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy would you be if we solved this? 9. Interesting. And so on that, I keep building. Second option, you start from a topic you know. I'm experienced in Pokemon cards, I don't know. I see that there's no system to find accurate prices of Pokemon cards across the world. I might want to build that. So I go to collectors and ask, when you have to sell your cards or when you have to evaluate them, what do you do? I have to ask people, it's not very good. I might have something. This is the process. And number 3, ask AI, and I will show you later how to do that, or at least how to help you do it. Quindi, once you have a list of ideas, you also need to rank them. Because again, going to this kind of events, you might have raised 17 different problems, but you have to understand where to start from. And so this also gives me the chance to explain what looks like a good problem. So number 1, target. Is the target easy to reach, or am I trying to speak to owners of companies above 500 million in revenue, which is not, there's not many of them. And also how many of them are in the market, okay? Because I might be talking to students, easy to reach, how many? A lot. Budget, not so much, okay? Usually, instead, I don't know, lawyers, accountants have a lot of money, but are they open to change? Absolutely not. And so I need to balance these things out, okay? Number 2, do I have an unfair advantage? Because for example, Delphiros, the company that I'm building now, I'm talking to families with over 100 million in personal wealth and all of that. But I have access to that target. And this is something that not many people have, and so I can build on that. And so I might be saying, I want to build a platform that allows people, and I can say it out loud because nobody else can reach them. It's easy. Or do I have domain knowledge that other people don't? Okay. Did I spend 20 years in an industry, or am I the number 1 Pokemon cards player in Italy? Because that gives me something that other people don't have. And then third, unique and defendable skills, which is roughly the same thing, but the most important part is, can I defend them? So, for example, patents, okay, brevetti. If I have something that is written down that you cannot use for the next 10 years, it's something that I could build a business upon, okay? Pagipirina was a patent. Now, paracetamol is very widely used, but you still buy pagipirina, for example, okay? That is something that I can build a business on. Number 3, the problem intensity, which is something that is usually overlooked. Frequency, intensity, and pain level. Meaning, let's say again, we go back to finance. I want to build a system that helps people do their tax statement, dichiarazione dei redditi. If I explain it to Gianmarco says, yeah, very cool, but I have to do it once a year. It's painful, però sti cazzi. If I go to an accountant that has to do 1,000 of them, which is a good accountant, or 100 of them in the same month, he might be more interested in listening to me, because the frequency of the problem is much higher, and maybe the pain level is much higher. Because it's not only, I know I'm pretty tidy as a person, okay? This is all the doctor skills, and this is all the prescription glasses, and this is all the revenue that I made. But you as an accountant might have 17 different types of clients, one that is very messy, the one that forgot to print out the paper, the other one that forgot to bring it, okay? If I give you a system that automatically connects to whatever, okay, you might be more interested. This is, again, I'm putting, as you can see, dots on the table, all stuff to think about. And then the 4th one, current and alternative solution. If we remain on the topic of finance, for example, This year might be the 20th person that I talk to that says, I'm building a system that it's gonna put together different data sources and it's gonna create forecasts so that you can take data-driven decisions. Much bullshit. Nobody cares. Okay. If you go to small businesses, they might be able to run on 2 Excel sheets, and they're not gonna change. Okay, because the way they're currently solving this is enough. And if I go back, they don't have enough of a problem. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. But most importantly is, the replacing product part. Another thing that I often see, I'm building this. There's no competitors. Are you sure? Because there's other things that are solving the same problem. It's different, okay? Keep that in mind. So, keeping all of this in mind, from my 17 ideas, I cross some of them off. I have 3, 1, 2, 3, whatever, that survive. I would say not more than 3, because now you have to validate them, and so it takes some time. Because the next step, again, is the testing/validation. I think I have a problem that is worth solving, but I need to make sure. And you need to fall in love with the problem. So at this stage, as you can see, I haven't really spoken about what to build. I'm still trying to understand, is this a problem that is worth solving? This is the question to be asking now, okay? Is it frequent enough? Is it painful enough? Can I reach the target? Can I explain it well? Ooh, that's it. It doesn't even matter if I can solve it. It might not be me. I might need to find somebody else. You know, the famous technical co-founder. I have the idea, I need somebody that can write the code. So we need to validate the problem. Different ways to do it. For example, interviews. It works better in service businesses, even more in B2B, because you talk to one person and it's easy to understand and ask questions. B2B, can anybody tell me what B2B means?
Business to business.
Okay, B2C?
Business to client.
Consumer, exactly. Quindi B2B, you speak to companies. B2C, you speak to people, okay? So it might be easier, I don't know, to interview a person that is looking for a dental product. I don't know. Instead, I'm looking for a dentist to explain it to. It's easier. So you have interviews, you have surveys that you can do with Tally that we were talking about before. I don't get paid. And so, for example, I try to match open-ended questions. What is the most painful part of with a number? How open would you be to try a new tool to fix this? 7, good. 9, better. Okay, that's the mindset we have. And then we have social media. Either you do some organic stuff or some paid stuff. So either you run some ads and you test the different hooks and then you see what works or not. Or same thing but we're organic, or a number of things. There's too much to talk about. And then once you get through this, you should know if the problem that you have is worth solving. Because enough people have to have told you, I want to fix, like, this is what the problem I have. You should be able to describe it with the words they use. And that's the key. If I'm able to describe your pain in your words, your mind thinks that I can solve it, which is something that we're very happy about. And then at this stage, we begin looking for the solution. So when I say problem solution fit, is that you're looking for a solution that solves the problem in a way that is sustainable. And sustainable is the key part, because again, anything could be a service business. People might say, yeah, this finance thing is not really working, the software doesn't really work. You could go in and say, I'm a consultant, I can do it for you. Sure. It's not a startup and it's not sustainable. And so I need to find something else. And then how do I do it? And I usually use the build, measure, learn cycle from the lean startup. Build means ask the question and formulate a hypothesis. Is this gonna solve the problem? And then you write down the criteria. Then you build it, you test it, you measure if it worked, and then you learn. Did it work? Yes. Why? Which is more important. And then you understand it and put it in the vault. Did it not work? Why? And it's the same thing. Startup is all about testing, and it's constant testing. Nobody knows what they're doing, usually. You can confirm, right? Exactly. They just go with the flow, and then they try to, you test 10 things to work, and then you try to understand why, and then you build on those two. For example, the question I'm asking is what would solve this? And the way I usually do it is by doing what I call hybrid prospecting, which means I speak to people that would be my clients, but I'm not selling anything yet. I'm just trying to get your point of view. And the way it works is usually like this. So you go up, and again, example of finance. Ciao, I'm looking to build a software that's gonna pull the different data sources from your company and put them all in an Excel sheet automatically. What do you think? Interesting, but you should also add an AI layer that lets me ask questions to the data so that I also have the KPI, because I might have all the data, but I don't know what to do about them. Interesting. So you go back, to the drawing board, and then you go back out. Listen, I want to build a platform that also has an AI layer that allows you to speak to your data. Very cool. And eventually, people will start saying, sounds perfect, okay? That's exactly what I'm looking for. It's not this easy, just so you know. But eventually, you'll get there. And more people are also gonna ask you, when will it be ready? How much is it gonna cost? And so you reverse that and you say, would you be willing to try out a software that does A, B, and C for $200 a month? And then eventually people will say, yes, when will it be available, or can I try, or can I see it? And there you start understanding that you might be onto something. Because you found the problem, you found enough people to talk to about that problem, and then you have an idea of a solution, and that solution looks like it might solve the problem, and they would be willing to buy it. Again, we're getting there. But also, this is hybrid prospecting, same thing. Depending on the market, it might be better to do it on social media. Use a landing page and do what is called a smoke test. So for example, very famous example of this company that was selling razor blades. You would get to the bottom of the website, you would go add to cart, then you're ready to buy, and then when the next step would be to input your credit card data. They would say, thank you, the product is not here yet, but if you're this interested, this is a discount for whenever we launch it. So again, example of I can build a product in advance, or I might also say you can pay now and get two instead of one whenever we build them, all of that. But it's validating before building, because I don't know, like razor blades are something that exists. Are they looking for disposable, one time, they want it shiny, they want it blue, they want it green, they want it orange? I don't know, I need to validate that. And this also brings me to the fact that at this point, we don't have yet problem solution fit, because we need to validate this. Because again, we have the suspect that the problem is there, we have the suspect that the solution could work, but we need to validate it. And so now it's time where we try to develop what is called an MVP. MVP means?
Most valuable player.
No? Qual è nel basket?
Minimum viable product.
Minimum viable product, which means something that solves the problem, but it's not the final product. There's gonna be one thing that is extremely more important than all the other features around, okay? And I need to find that one thing, do that, and if it works, then I do all the other ones. And here, again, is where people get messed up, okay? Because we think that we need to build the whole thing before going through. So now, a little bit more interactive. I have a couple examples of companies, and I want us to think about what the real problem that they were trying to solve is, what the solution that they're selling now and that we know it, but what an MVP of that, okay, could be. So for example, Uber, we all know Uber, right? Yes? Okay. Who here can tell me the very specific problem that Uber is trying to solve? Again, put pieces on the table, exactly, transport. But I can tell you, there's taxis, there's cars, there's motorcycles, there's bikes. What specifically of transport?
It's faster to get to point A, from a point A to a point B using Uber instead of maybe a taxi, because I need to call, and on Uber you have an app, so.
Exactly, quickly. More than the time that it takes to get there, the user experience. So I can use an app instead of calling. But what about the app is what you like about Uber? Because taxis today, Taxi Milano, you go on the app, yellow button, and you call.
Maybe I don't need to interact with the driver itself, but there's
Okay.
an intermediate.
Getting to something, okay, I don't need to interact with the driver, go ahead.
They are making their transportation experience more private, as it
Also,
it's
yes,
also become getting off the public transportation is more like private.
yes,
Special. Also, you don't have to have certain obligations that you do in like a safety obligations
Mhm.
for women,
Yep.
for example.
that as
But
well,
at Uber, you don't think about it because you already pay for a certain service to be private and secure.
exactly,
So
exactly, value.
It's easier for people to become a driver.
Mhm.
You don't require a lot of licenses and stuff. And Uber, it's very easier for
But
them.
is that the problem I'm trying to solve?
It was because not everyone could become a taxi driver very quickly.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's another
But
interesting
in
part.
Uber, you can just apply,
Okay.
click, and boom.
See, okay, fit it.
Yeah, in general, the availability because you can choose the time and also you have more a space where you can properly give messages to the driver and you have the personalized experience because
Mhm.
you see the if I'm not sure the
Si, si, si.
profile photo for example.
Exactly.
So it's more personalized as she was saying.
So if I put some pieces together, it's the same as a taxi, however, I know the driver in advance, I feel more safe, it's a more personalized experience. I know in advance how much time it will take before it gets here. I know in advance when will I get to my destination. I know in advance how much is it gonna cost, okay? I might be in any city, I don't know how the taxis work, but Uber is the same. And exactly, I think, like, if we were to sum it up, the problem that we're trying to solve is quickly. I don't have to call, I'm abroad, the phone doesn't work, whatever, no? Finding reliable, meaning I know the driver, I know the city. If you take a taxi in Rome and if you listen, like if they hear the accent from the north, they will take like a longer road, and then here you know that they're not gonna do that. Reliable transportation with updates. The solution is obviously what we know, quindi a platform that matches drivers and passengers with real-time updates. It's easy to book, easy to pay, you know the driver in advance, it's easy to become a driver, all of that. But before spending months building the app, I need to validate this. How do I validate first the need for Uber and that this is the solution that people might be open to use? This is more difficult. Any guesses?
they just go down the street and waiting, measuring the times to get a taxi or a certain public transportation, and
Okay.
ask people also to do a survey.
And that is one part of the problem. That is that quickly. But now I need to bridge this gap. I need to see if people are gonna use this. But I don't want to build this, because it takes a lot of money and a lot of time. I need to make sure that they wanna use it and that's gonna solve the problem. Anything else? Like,
WhatsApp group,
WhatsApp group, okay,
that's cost zero.
okay. Quindi WhatsApp group with who?
With drivers and people looking for drivers.
Okay.
So if that works, you develop a platform.
Okay, you put all of them inside and then somebody says, I'm looking for a taxi.
You need a couple of 10 people,
Okay,
10 to 20 drivers. But what I would add to the problem is that also people need money and have spare time.
Yeah.
And a car.
see,
So that's the other side of the problem.
yeah, absolutely, which is the driver problem, exactly, yeah. Other guesses? Could be enough, right? Because the actual MVP that Uber did is what they called Uber Cab. They were just black cars, you had a phone number to call, so people were already used to call a taxi. But you call Uber instead of a taxi, and they tell you, where are you? Here. Okay, the driver is 3 minutes away, the name is this, it's already done 7 rides with us, it's gonna cost $20, and you're gonna get there by 7:25. Okay, and it's the same experience, but the car is more luxurious, you have all the information, they might update you by a text, and if enough people use this, and enough people recommend it to others, also because at first it costed less than taxis in San Francisco, then people are probably gonna use something that is even easier to use, which is a platform instead of having to call, okay? But this is the mindset. Airbnb, same thing, problem.
People trying to find a place to stay.
Why would you not go to a hotel?
Because like you have to, it takes longer in general to like book an hotel rather than go to an Airbnb.
When does it take longer? When does it become painful?
When you have to like put, I'm with 5 people, one child, 2 dogs, like stuff like that. On the app is way quicker. Like you have to just scroll down and you book the information.
Okay.
It's too difficult and also too long to book an hotel. While using Airbnb, you can do it, as you were saying, also by your phone, by scrolling, searching, and looking for the solution while you are doing something else.
Okay, but the question I'm gonna ask you is, 20 years ago, was the main problem the speed at which I can book a hotel? We're talking about a time where it was 2008, I think, 2007, a time when internet was not a thing, so you really don't know that that's an option yet. Julia?
Maybe the problem also was that people had some flats that were empty, just they wouldn't earn money.
Yeah.
And also hotels were really, really expensive. So I think it's main problem.
So it's a service for homeowners and not for the people looking for a place to stay,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay?
Also the experience, people don't want a standard experience, so not hotels, but more local experience, so being at someone's home is perfect.
Yeah? You wanted to add something?
Yeah, but here is I guess the problem for the like not everyone could afford to buy a huge hotel, and it's a way for people who don't have the budget to buy a hotel to rent their small empty rooms to
Exactly.
someone and make an extra cash.
Exactly. And so on one side we have the homeowners that, just like the drivers before, now I want to make some money on this. And also I have the people that are looking for a place to stay. Let's say I could go to a hotel, but even more in the US, hotels are in one part of the city. And I don't want to be in the hotel district. I might want to be in the city center, but if I'm in the city center, there's not going to be a huge ass hotel right next to the center plaza or the station or something like that. So I'm looking for places to live like a local. Affordably is a good bonus, and if I can put my house or my couch at first up for rent, it's a good thing. The solution today we know. It's a platform to manage guests and hosts and all of that, and I don't have to explain to you what Airbnb is. But the MVP, I will jump in and tell you the story. The very first MVP of Airbnb was just one guy, Brian Chesky, with one phone, that knew there was a designers conference in Los Angeles, I think, and he had a couple people say, do you know anybody with a house to rent for these few days, because I don't want to go to the hotel, they're completely booked. And he said, okay, I might have some people with spare couches, and the people went there and they had fun, and he said, could I do it more times? Could I do it again? And so from there, they started validating Airbnb. Again, this thing could be one guy that has a lot of friends, or that went and knocked on doors and created either a WhatsApp group or an Excel spreadsheet with all the names and phone numbers of people with a home to spare. And then whenever you want to, here's the phone number, and he goes, do you have a flat for this day to this day in Milan? And then he just checks and says, yes I do, and it connects you, for example. But I validate the fact that people are gonna be willing to stay at somebody else's home while they are there, and that somebody is gonna host a complete stranger for money. This is a strong assumption, okay? This is what I'm trying to validate. Again, other number of examples like this, Netflix. We all know Netflix today, but at first it was, I want to watch movies, I want to rent them, I can go to Blockbusters, but I have to go to Blockbusters, okay? And the Blockbuster next to me is gonna have only the DVDs that they chose to keep in the store. Netflix, it's all out there. You pick the one that you wanna see, and then I will ship it to you, and then once you're done, you ship it back to me. Done, okay? This was the catalog, same thing with Amazon. I walk into a bookstore, I can find the book that I want. The catalog is on the internet, you order them, I ship it to you, okay? Same thing. And if you boil it down, anything can be done with a spreadsheet and a phone number, basically. So keep that in mind. Quindi, we might have an MVP. We built the MVP. We had people use it and test it, and now we check. We build a measure, learn, and all of that. If we can deliver the MVP, they like it. I keep building the product. I have something that is strong enough to start selling to people. If I can deliver it, like I can deliver the service to the early adopters. I deliver the service to the early adopters, and I understand how to get more customers, because it's the first 10 are not going to be enough. And I understand how to make money on them. Again, sustainable, scalable business model, high profit margin. Okay, I can do it consistently and predictably. Let's aim for this, and I aim for product market fit, which is something that's constantly changing. Then we are onto something, but mostly the last part is the problem for the future, okay? But this is the goal. Do something, do it once, do it consistently, make money off of it, and then just keep going with this. Now, I also said that I wanted to show you something with AI, and so all of this stuff that we did today, if it's your first time, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult because you don't know what a good problem or a good solution looks like. So what I did for you is that I prepared what I did for you is that I wrote down some prompts that I will also send you if you want. I will send it to Alessio or to Marco, and then you do it. But for example, to show you that you can use AI, so it might be Claude, it might be ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever you want to use, to help you with this. So I'll go very quickly on that. But so we said first, we need the problems. We need act as a market research specialized in customer discovery. I'll give you 3 industries, and I said universities, finance, and HR. You go beyond the surface level and you go on Reddit, Quora, and industry-specific forums and look for the most frequent complaints. Quindi not the stuff that people are trying to build, not the, no. I want to see what people are complaining about. You go through and you look for problem description, evidence, which is paraphrase quotes. Again, I want to know the words that they're going to use to describe the problem. Perceived frequency, intensity, whatever, and then you can read through. AI does its thing, and then it starts answering. Industry number 1, universities. Pain point number 1, and I will skip to the one that I used to actually do the demo, which is this one. So manual spreadsheets dependency creating operational risk. So finance teams need to produce accurate forecasts, budgets, and reports to enable strategic decision making. Okay, what's preventing that? Despite decades of technology investment, finance functions remain heavily reliant on manual process that slow decision making. This guy is saying basically, over 70% of the stuff that happens on Excel. But Excel is usually not connected to the rest of the company. And Excel sheets, I'm working on one version, Alessio is working on a different one, and then we need to bridge them, and then I need to copy and paste and cut and do and a bunch of stuff. And then all the other pain points. And so I go down and say, okay, I have decided to explore this problem further, and I say, which problem? Now, simulate the aggregated responses from 8 to 10 one-on-one interviews. And this is not something that you should take, as proof, but it gets you there quicker, okay? Instead of looking for these first 10 people and ask questions as if you don't know anything, you walk in knowing a little something already, okay? And so this is, again, aggregate the responses and simulate the interviews. And so when was the last time you had this problem? Not an occasional problem, it's constant. Interesting. What exactly happened? The problem unfolds as a cascade. Version chaos, formula breakage, manual error. Okay, interesting. What have you tried to solve it? Multiple solutions with mixed results. Interesting, they haven't solved it yet. What didn't work? Solutions failed due to implementation complexity, learning curve, loss of flexibility. So this is something that I need to keep in mind. And then it goes on, okay? And then I go, very cool. Now I have the problem. The problem might be validated enough, so it's there. I look for the solution. Solution. Suggest what the solution could be, okay? Because again, as we said before, I might not be able to do it, but I need an idea at least, okay? Quindi solution 1, da 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 da, solution 2, da 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 da, solution 3, fantastic, incredible, okay. Now rank them, and so based on the ICE score evaluation, which is impact, confidence, and ease. Something might be very easy to use, but I'm not really sure that it fixes the problem, or going the opposite side of the spectrum, I do something incredibly difficult that I'm sure it's gonna work, but I have to make it work, okay? I have to get it to work. And so here ranks them, and then I said, very cool, now the best one, basically, propose what the MVPs could be. And again, hypothesis. So, main hypothesis, mid-market finance teams will trust and use an AI assistant to execute changes in their financial models. When I say an MVP, it's not only like something small, but it's something that allows to test the assumption. Are people really gonna host complete strangers in their living room? I need to check that. Are teams really gonna trust AI with changes in their financial models? Not just answer a question. I don't just need a consultant. I need to trust an AI that's gonna do this for me. And it's money, and if I get it wrong, I have to pay fines. And then all these sub-hypotheses. So finance teams will share their actual financial models. And natural language instructions are sufficient to specify model changes, And then this is all the different steps that the MVP has to go through. Now, we assume that we've done all of this, and this is a chat that you'll be able to look through and see and use. Assuming we've done this, assuming we validated the problem, assuming the solution worked, assuming the MVP is looking good, I now might want to create a website and a pitch deck, okay? Because I want to explain it to people, or sell it, or go to an investor. And so again, with AI, I say, on the other chat, you got all of the information you needed. I didn't even read, I didn't input anything, okay? It's all in there. Go look for it, you structure a pitch deck, and then you build it. And without even going to Canva, I have here the pitch deck that doesn't open, it's here. So this is the pitch deck for Self-Forge, apparently, it shows the name. And then I said, I need the problem. Finance teams are trapped between Excel flexibility and enterprise control. When and how does it manifest? The pain repeats every close cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's responding, Okay. Then I want to see the solution. And then from the solution, why us? Why would you trust us, the different, the domain knowledge and Why would you do it now? And so why is now the time to do this? And then these are the metrics that from our MVP that tells us that this thing is working, that the problem is there, that people are gonna use the thing and all of that. And this is the pitch deck. Now, 2025, I've never written one line of code, but I need a website. Either I go to Politecnico and I see if anybody has some spare time to use, or I go on, for example, Lovable, which is one of the vibe coding websites that are now on the market. You have Lovable, Base44, Bolt, Replit, whatever, okay? And I say, and again, I ask Claude, write the prompt for Lovable to create a website. And this is our website, it's live on the web. You can go and say, write selfforge.lovable.app, and we have our website for Self-Forge. It's responding, you can go, if you click here, brings you down to the contact form. There's all the numbers, the problem, how it manifests, the solution, why us, why now, experimental validation, and then functioning contact form. Applauso, che cazzo. This cost €0, absolutely nothing. I built it with 3 out of the 5 free credits that Lovable gives you daily. Okay, and then from here you can choose and build some different pages and go the website of my company, delphios.com, was done completely by AI. I still cannot write one line of code. It runs, it works, it says a bunch of stuff. I can go here, I can contact. Recently I created the blog section. You can go around, and this is all stuff that you can do basically for free. Claude, you have the free plan, or it's $20 a month. Lovable, again, you have the free plan, or it's $25 a month, but we're still talking about nothing. People are saying the cost to fail is now basically zero, and this is what they talk about. That's it. Open for questions. Let me see if my monster.
How do I learn to write such complex prompts so that AI?
You don't learn. You ask AI to write the prompts for you.
Okay, because this is what I do. Like in order to study, I use a lot of AI, and like to summarize information or do stuff like that. I also ask AI to create the prompt in order to ask AI better.
Yeah.
So the prompt that you wrote is wrote by AI.
Absolutely, yes. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it then. Wow. I need to do a talk on steps to launch a startup with AI support. These are the steps. Bam, 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 bam. I need to create some prompts that allow me to show this live. So you're gonna help me do this. Step 1: identifying problems. Ask to behave like an expert. And then I got number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'll translate them in English, because then I couldn't show them. But this is the thing, like, if you have enough of an idea of what you want to do, you ask AI to write a prompt for itself. That's it.
How do you deal with AI hallucination? For example, if someone is an investor and they ask, okay, that 75% figure you have, where did you get that figure from? That's what scares me.
You stress AI to give you the source. That's it. And Claude usually just says numbers, for fun, more than others. I also use what I usually do is I go on this page, I open Perplexity.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
And Perplexity is built to first go on the web and then give you the answer. So with this one, I get the data. Then copy and paste, switch desktop, go to Claude, work with this one. Because Claude it's really, it's like the little boy, who ate the candies? I didn't. You're the only one in the house. What happened? And then you stress it, where did you get this data? I got it from Harvard Business Review. Can you point out the article? No. Actually not. I'm not using the data anymore. Yeah, that's it. You just need to know how to treat it.
Okay, I didn't know that Perplexity gives all the data with reference.
And the fun part about Perplexity is also, like, for example, recently I wrote a blog and I said, SEO 2025, I don't know anything about. You need to tell me what are the best practices in this field. And so, as you can see, it gives me the answer, but this is where I got it from. And then gives you the second answer, and this is where we got it from. Authority and competence, and this is the thing. And so here you can actually check, because sometimes Perplexity might still invent the number, but you can go on the article and check, basically. If it's too good to be true, I usually open the article. But that's the thing. And then from here, you copy it, and all the links are in there. And so Claude, that now has the ability to go on the web, can also go inside that article and see if there's anything else that is interesting. But yeah, you have to make them work together. Also, the cool part about Perplexity is that first, you might be able to have, Gemini, the new Google model, if you're a student, you have 50, either for free or 50% off. And then inside Perplexity, you can use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, the Elon Musk's one, the Korean one, and then the old Claude that doesn't work.
Gemini Pro is 1 year for students for free.
Exactly.
Yeah. Pro, yeah.
Perplexity, if you have a PayPal account since before
No,
September, you
Perplexity
have
also free for
1 year for
students.
free. Exactly, free,
Yeah.
very cool. If you want to try it out.
You just have to write like your new email and that's it. It's
Exactly.
free for you. And what does your company do? Your current company?
Allora, difficult to explain. Basically, me, I'm the salesperson. The other guy that's working with me is a psychologist, a profiler, which means the person that is trained to look at you, look how you behave, and understand what you're thinking about. And then we also have 7 years of research with the Università Cattolica on behavioral patterns and assessments. What we do is we work with entrepreneurial families, people handling a lot of money, and we basically say, if people act following predictable patterns, predictable for us, okay?
Mhm.
And everything is done by people, a negotiation, running a company, an M&A deal, whatever, is done by people. If I can read people, I can basically read the future. So what we offer to these people is number one, reversing the information asymmetry that they usually have against them. Meaning, if you're somebody, okay, if you're famous, or it might be just famous in your niche, everybody knows everything about you, okay? If you're famous enough, they know, what you like, what you don't like, what words to say in order, to be on, on your good side, and then you just know what the other person is choosing to show.
Mhm.
And when you're doing something that is usually expensive, even just on a reputational side of things, okay? Somebody famous, I'm doing a deal with this company, my name is gonna be on the paper, I cannot mess it. I cannot mess it up, okay? Chiara Ferragni example, or FedEx, all of these people, okay? The other part is, again, I can read people, I can basically read the future. If we work together, you know in advance what could happen. I don't have a crystal ball, okay, but these are the 5 scenarios and we plan for them. Because at that level, if anything goes wrong, it's some hundreds of millions of dollars that are lost maybe in the stock market, and it's 2 years and it's reputation. If me and you fail tomorrow, nobody knows, okay? If Leonardo Del Vecchio, or if, I don't know, Gucci, Prada, whatever, are found sniffing cocaine behind the store, maybe it's more, it hurts a little bit more. So we work with them to anticipate what could happen and plan for it.
And would you say you're like a PR agent for them, predictive PR?
Kinda. We like to say that we're like, if they're King Arthur, we're Merlin. Okay, I stand behind you and magically I make things happen. Because you walk into the room knowing who the other person is, what they're gonna say, how they're gonna think, and how to say what you were gonna say in order for them to understand it in the best way possible, and for them to be like on your side. It's fun, kinda.
Nice. And how did you get the idea to do something like that? So cool.
I had to take the opposite road, which is I didn't start from a problem. I started with a solution, looking for a problem, which is not the best situation to be in. And so Federico had this thing, and he was doing, Federico is my co-founder obviously, he was doing it for customers, okay, final customers, for the guy trying to understand what should I do in life, or the manager that after 20 years in a company is now looking to change his job. I said, okay, cool, but I think we could use it somewhere else. And so we said, where could this be useful? M&A, negotiation, hiring, entrepreneurial families, anything, okay? And then we started talking to them. M&A, too difficult, too many people? No, yeah. Startup investing, I can sit the people of a startup team and tell you with 5 years notice if they're gonna break up, how, where's it gonna come from, and how all of them are gonna act. Are you interested? Not really. How could you not be? Because we're fun, we know that we invest in 10 of them, 2 are gonna work, 1 kinda, the other not. But we did our maths and we still stay positive. So we said, forget about those. But again, it's what I said before. Interview, is it a problem for you? Kinda, okay, forget about it. Is it a problem for you? Yes. Are you willing to spend money on it? No. Yeah. Is it a problem for you? Yes. Are you willing to spend money on it? Absolutely. How much? A lot. Interesting. Now let's figure out how to get there. But that's the journey.
And for the prediction, you have the data model from University of Católica, you said? Data from what kind
We
of
did.
data is it?
So it's a behavioral assessment protocol that as of right now, the one problem I have is that it's not scalable. Because as of right now, the way to handle the data is scalable. But I need Federico. Because Federico is a profiler, again, the person trained to ta-ta-ta, but I could become a profiler too. And it would be like if I learn how to run. He's both. I'll never catch him, okay? He has the science plus a talent. And so the fact that like we have a 94% accuracy 5 years in the future, which is a shit ton, but garbage in, garbage out. I need very clean data. And only Federico as of right now can give me that kind of data. And so that's also why we're not using it to hire people in our organization, but we're going to people that can pay us 20, 30, 40,000 a month. Because that, you know, even with 5 clients, I have a business out of it. With 3 people running it, 2 people, okay? So it's interesting.
So
If you have any more questions, you can also find me on LinkedIn and we can speak
I have a lot
more
of questions, but maybe I'll ask to someone else.
Anybody else? Otherwise, I'm still gonna be here for the next hour. No worries. Very good.
Me, I have
So, thank you, Dino, for the valuable information
Thank you.
shared with us today, and thank you, Alia, for organizing this event, and a round of applause for both of you. Now we take a picture together.
Yes, and after we can meet the bar in front of here. If you want to take an aperitif with us, or you are free to go home.